back to the House.
Administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable Senators, I'd like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation from the National Assembly of Zambia. The delegation comprises members of staff who are undergoing a training program in the Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training, CPST. Honorable Senators, I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. Mr. Tennyson Nyangu, Principal Clerk. Mr. Collins Ngozi, Deputy Principal Clerk, and Mr. Kabwibwi, Deputy Principal Clerk. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome and wish you a fruitful visit. I will allow Senator for Kakamega, Senator Boni, under 1 minute to extend brief welcome remarks to welcome the delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the honor. And Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to warmly welcome the delegation of our visitors. I hope they are going to find their visit to the Senate fruitful. I urge them to visit all the corners of the Senate and, if possible, talk to the leadership of the House, leadership of committees, and they'll find it very invaluable when they go back home. I thank you.
Next order, Clerk.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
The Honorable Chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, to present a report on a petition that they had looked into. Do we have the Chairperson, Labor, or any other member from that committee to present the report? All right, they seem not ready. That is deferred. Clerk, call the next order, please. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 5, papers.
The Chairperson, Select Committee on Delegated Legislation. Can you proceed to lay your papers? The Chairperson or any member of that committee to proceed to lay the papers. That is deferred. Next order, Clerk. The Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of this Senate today, 5th October 2023, being, Mr. Speaker, the annual report of the National Police Service Commission for the financial year 2022-2023. I thank you.
Next order, Clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statement pursuant to Standing Order 52-1, Honorable Senator Lominen. Kindly power the microphone for Senator Lomenan. Proceed, Senator.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of countrywide and general topical concern, namely the disparity in service delivery to refugee community in Kakuma and Kalobeye camps and the Turkana community. Mr. Speaker, sir, Kakuma refugee camp comprising Kakuma 1, Kakuma 2, Kakuma 3, and 4, and the Kalobeye integrated settlement houses a registered population of 196,666 refugees and asylum seekers of July 2020. While these camps have served as places of refuge for those fleeing conflict and persecution, have simultaneously presented unprecedented challenges, particularly for the Turkana community. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite concerted efforts by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, partner agencies and county government, as well as political leaders in the development of Kalobeye, which emphasizes 50 share of services between the host and refugee communities, discriminating against local in accessing services is still persistent. Mr. Speaker, sir, these services include scholarships and material support for vulnerable children. 2. Health services where refugees receive preferential treatment. 3. Gender-based violence and child protection. 4. Training programs such as technical training and kitchen garden training, which are generally geared towards refugees. 5. Access to clean water, whereby locals are denied access to water points and boreholes, which are often strategically located to primarily serve refugee communities. 6. Job opportunities at UNCCR, where members of the Turkana communities are often viewed as unfit for corporate positions despite their substantial qualification and experiences. Mr. Speaker, sir, to ensure equitable access to services and promote harmonious coexistence, I call upon the Senate Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights to engage in national government on the following. First, Mr. Speaker, advocate for scholarship opportunities and material support to be allocated fairly between Turkana community and refugees students. 2. Establishment of additional educational facilities such as schools and vocational training centers to accommodate the educational needs of both locals and refugee communities. 3. Promotion of equitable access to health care and support initiatives that raise awareness of available health facilities and services. 4. Mr. Speaker, the respect for the cultural norms, beliefs, and tradition of Turkana community by refugee and UHCR. 5. Expansion of gender-based violence and child protection services to cover both Turkana and refugee community members. 6. Strengthening security in and around Kakuma and Kalobeye refugee camps to curb terrorism and unlawful activities. 7. Develop of livelihood programs tailored to the specific needs of the Turkana community, including technical training, agriculture support, and small-scale businesses opportunities, as well as facilitating partnership between the local community members and the relevant agencies to enhance economic opportunities and reduce dependency. 8. Establish of additional water points and bores in areas that are heavily populated. 9. Promotion of community-based programs that address the root causes of child and homelessness. 10. Advocacy for job opportunity within the USCR and partner agencies to be accessible to both local and refugee community members based on qualification and experience. 11. Community engagement initiatives that bring together local and refugee communities to address shared challenges and build mutual understanding and support the establishment of conflict resolution mechanism that can effectively address disputes and tensions between the two communities. And finally, increase transparency in the allocation of resources and services to both local and refugee communities. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, it is crucial that these issues are addressed conclusively, prioritizing the welfare and society of both refugee and the local community. Collaboration between the government authorities, the UNCR, and relevant stakeholders is essential in finding sustainable solutions to these challenges and ensure the well-being of Turkana and refugee community and their generation to come. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chirange.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Statement on the issue of general topical concern on the standing on the standing performance by our athletes at the World Road Running Championship in Riga, Latvia. Mr. Speaker, sir, I raise pass one to standing order 52-1 to make a statement on an issue of general topical concern and national importance, namely standing performance by our athletes at the World Road Running Championship in Riga on Sunday this week. So, Speaker, sir, once again, our athletes made us proud on Sunday last weekend when they topped the world medal table at the just concluded World Athletes Road Running Championship in Riga, Latvia. Our heroes and heroines braced the sunny and breezy conditions to sweep the podiums of both men and women's half marathons, thus winning the team gold medals. Winning also silver in the women's 5 kilometer and bronze in the men's 5 kilometer and bronze also in women's mile to become the top of the world in the championship. Mr. Speaker, sir, the gold hunt for Team Kenya was led by Sebastian Sawe and defending champion Peris Chepchirchir, who both clinched the half marathon titles, while Beatrice Chebet won the women's 5 kilometers race. Peres Chepchirchir led a Kenyan podium sweep with Margaret Chelimo finishing second and Catherine Relin finishing in third place. At the same time, the men also swept the podium, where Sawe led them, Sebastian, ahead of compatriots Daniel Simiyu Ebenyo and Samuel Nyamai Mailu, enabling them to claim this title for the 17th time, Mr. Speaker, sir. This was wonderful. Mr. Speaker, sir, although Faith Kipyegon was beaten for the first time this season, she managed to win bronze in the women's mile. She is a world record holder and several world title holders, and therefore becoming an inspiration to the upcoming athletes and sportsmen and women in general in trailblazing in athletics and the world. We must continue to celebrate Mr. Speaker, sir, and continue to call the leader of minority and leader of majority to process the appearance of both Faith Kipyegon and Eliud Kipchoge before this House to address the House, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, Speaker, sir, I wish to continue to request this Honorable House, for example, to set time for the world beaters. I've mentioned Faith Kipyegon, Ferdinand Umanyala, Eliud Kipchoge, among others, to visit and sometimes address the Senate for their greatest achievement that even go unnoticed sometimes. And I know their marathon, Mr. Speaker, is equated to political marathon where we might learn a few lessons. Mr. Speaker, by doing this, our athletes and sportsmen and women who have continued to make us proud as a country at the international arena, by flying our flag high always, will feel appreciated and will be motivated to achieve even more for the nation. I wish to continue to call Ministry of Sports, Athletics Kenya, National Olympics Committee, NOC, and even the Special Olympic Committee to partner with the Ministry of Tourism and utilize the fame and good name that our sportsmen and women have gained in marketing our country as a tourist destination by making them brand Kenya ambassadors for Kenya, thus enabling them to have a decent rewards in return. So, Speaker, there is a soft underbelly in our sports of doping issues within both sports, men and women. I continue to call the DCI and other investigative agencies to punish the entire criminal enterprise that perpetuate doping substance against sportsmen and women, and in some cases, allegations of fixing some of the athletes where it has created anxiety among athletes, Mr. Speaker. Because for the information of the House, as I conclude, you are supposed to be tested 3 times against doping substance before Olympics, and we have cases of some athletes being fixed, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, finally, sir, I wish to congratulate our sportsmen and women athletes for the superb performance in Riga, Latvia, that they did us wonders, and wish them well, assuring our commitment as a House and Parliament and supporting them in championing for their welfare and at all times as they continue to raise the country's flag and represent our nation across various performances. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53-1. Honorable Newton. That statement is dropped. Honorable Senator Maruma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to raise these statements on the Part Development Plan, PDP of Voi Town in Taita Taveta County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources concerning the Part Development Plan of Voi Town in Taita Taveta County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide the map of Voi Town, giving a list of all public utility land and indicating their registration numbers. 2, present all the revised development plans of Voi Town from 1969 to date. 3, state whether there are any plans of revision and expansion of Voi Town and give the extent of expansion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The statements by Senator for Bungoma, Senator David Fuller, is deferred to next week. Next is Senator for Marsabit, Senator Mohammed Chute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 3 statements. I'll start with the one. Is a request for a statement on production and importation of cooking oil in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the production and importation of cooking oil in Kenya. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide data regarding the volume of cooking oil produced annually in the country in relation to yearly consumption, disclosing the manufacturing companies involved in the production and average retail cost of oil. Number 3, elaborate on whether any local loans were secured to facilitate the procurement of imported oil, and if so, indicate the percentage of the loan that has been settled thus far. The Speaker, statement number 2 is on request for a statement to alleged tax exemption to Kenya National Trading Corporation, KNTC Limited. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance.
Order, Senator Mundigi. Senator Mundigi, kindly take your seat. and allow the senator to be heard in silence. Proceed, Senator Chutu.
If you allow me, Mr. Speaker, I'll repeat. Request for a statement on allegation on alleged tax exemptions to the Kenyan National Trading Corporation, KNTC Limited. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding allegation of tax exemptions extended by the Kenya Revenue Authority in the to the Kenya National Trading Corporation Limited. In the statement, the committee should, 1, clarify whether KRA has extended tax exemptions to KNTC, and if so, explain the criteria applied on extending the exemptions and whether due procedure was followed. And 2, state the amount of funds KRA would have otherwise collected in taxes. Mr. Speaker, my third statement is on the demarcation of jurisdictional boundaries between Marsabit and Wajir counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the demarcation of jurisdictional boundaries between the counties of Marsabit and Wajir. In the statement, the committee should A, provide precise maps for the counties of Marsabit and Wajir that clearly show the boundaries of Arbijahan, Molmol, Irreswachile, Baji, and Basir, and indicate respective counties under whose jurisdiction they fall. And B, outline the actions the government has taken, if any, to facilitate the conclusive demarcation of the boundaries of the sub-counties, addressing any contentions between the two counties concerning their boundaries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next, Senator Chirange.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I have two statements I hope I can read concurrently. Thank you for your indulgence. Request for statement on the status of pending bills in counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the status of pending bills in counties. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should provide a comprehensive report on all pending bills per county, indicating the financial years the bills accrued and the steps the government is taking to facilitate the settlement of the bills. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, state the role of the controller of budget in expediting the settlement of all pending bills by county governments across the country. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, furnish the Senate with a list of all pending bills below Kenya shillings 5 million, indicating the counties that have not adhered to the directive on the prompt settlement of these obligations. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the indulgence, my second statement, so that I cede, request for statement on the closure of bank accounts of small businesses, SMEs, by Standard Chartered Bank. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the closure by the Standard Chartered Bank of bank accounts of small businesses that have less than 10 million cash flow per month. In the statement, the committee should, Mr. Speaker, sir, explain the basis for the closure of bank accounts of all small businesses by the Standard Chartered Bank, indicating the number of the accounts affected so far. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, sir, clarify whether the Central Bank of Kenya, CBK, played any role in the closure of the said bank accounts of small, medium enterprises. So, Speaker, sir, finally, outline the measures and strategies that the government has put in place to improve access to banking services for small businesses or small enterprises businesses in the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you.
Senator Hamida Kibwana. That statement is dropped. Senator Lominen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the first statement I have read it severally, so I request to defer, and then we cancel. And then the second.
Senator Lominen, are you saying that you already requested for this statement from
Yes,
that committee?
I've read it severally, and even the CS has answered it
All
severally.
right,
Mr.
we'll take it up with the Secretariat, why then it's found its way here. So proceed to present your two other statements.
Thank you, sir. I raised a statement of the request on the electricity transmission infrastructure in major towns within Turkana County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Energy regarding the lack of adequate electricity transmission infrastructure concerning major towns within Turkana County to the national grid connection, despite the close proximity to electricity general plants. In his statement, the committee should, 1, explain why major towns within Turkana County, including Lodwar, Lokori, Kerio, Kalokol, Loktang, Kakuma, and Lokchogyo, lack adequate electricity transmission infrastructure to ensure access to reliable electricity, despite the close proximity to electricity generation plants such as Takwel Hydroelectric Power Station. 2, provide status update on ongoing and stalled rural electrification and renewable energy corporation (REREC) project within the county, outlining measures put in place to ensure the expedient revival where applicable and completion. And 3, state plans, if any, by the government to expand electricity transmission infrastructure in the country and connect the major towns to the national power grid. Second statement, Mr. Speaker, I say the statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment, and Natural Resources regarding compulsory acquisition of unregistered communal land belonging to Turkana community for the land port South Sudan Ethiopia Transport Corridor LAPSET project. In the statement, the committee should, 1, clarify whether the National Land Commission has engaged the county government of Turkana and the Turkana community on compulsory acquisition of land for LAPSET project, and if it is so, explain how the National Land Commission will resolve objections and concerns raised in the engagement. And 2, highlight policies and measures put in place to guide the compulsory land acquisition process to ensure that the rightful individuals are identified and fairly compensated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 57-1. The Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to make a statement on behalf of the Leader of the Majority on the business of this Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, 10th October 2023, pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to this standing order, I hereby present the business of the Senate. Before I proceed with the statement, I take this opportunity to welcome honorable senators back to Nairobi after the exciting Senate Mashinani Week in Turkana County. I want to believe that we have had some time to reflect on the experiences of our stay in Turkana County and will undoubtedly put in place legislative measures to ensure that devolution works not only in Turkana, but kokote mashinani, quote unquote. Mr. Speaker, sir, as indicated in today's order paper, we have 7 bills at the Committee of the Whole. The bills are listed in orders number 9 through to number 15. The prompt consideration of these bills will be a great milestone in our work as a Senate. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I urge respective movers and committee chairpersons who have filed amendments to these bills to be available in the House to prosecute them. In terms of the legislative business that are pending consideration in the Senate, there are a total of 21 bills at the second reading stage, including those that have been scheduled in today's order paper. At orders number 8, 16, 17, and 18. I urge respective movers of these bills to be available in the House when the orders will be called out. 28 motions are pending conclusion, while the number of petitions that are due for reporting by respective standing committees still stands at a whopping 18. Additionally, 206 statements under standing orders number 51, 52.1, and 53.1 are pending conclusion by relevant standing committees, while 17 questions are pending, 9 of which have been scheduled for response by the respective cabinet secretaries on the 11th of October 2023 on Wednesday. Let me take this opportunity to commend all honorable senators for work done and every effort made to dispense the business both at the committee and plenary sittings. However, we need to put more effort as our in-tray of legislative business, as highlighted above, is ever increasing. Mr. Speaker, sir, at its meeting held on Tuesday, 3rd October 2023, the Senate Business Committee approved the next set of questions to be scheduled in the order paper on the 11th of October 2023 on Wednesday. The set of questions included those that had earlier been deferred due to the non-appearance of the relevant cabinet secretaries. The summary of the questions are as follows. 1. Question number 11 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, by Senator John Kinyua Nderitu, MP, on the state of security in Laikipia County and the wider North Rift region. 2. Question 12 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator John Kinyua Nderitu, MP, on curbing of rampant abuse of ketamine. 3. Question number 25 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator Mohammed Said Chute, MP, on the recruitment and deployment of chiefs and assistant chiefs. 4. Question number 26 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator Mohammed Said Chute, MP, on the delay in recruitment of NPRs in the wider northern frontier counties. 5. Question 32 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator James Morango, MP, on kidnappings along Makutano-Sagana Highway in Kirinyaga County. 6. Question number 45 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator James Lomenen, MP, on the security situation in West Pokot and Turkana counties. 7. Question number 51 to the Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Sports and the Arts by Senator Said Chute Mohammed, MP, on the status of the construction of Marsabit Stadium. 7. Question number 53 to the Cabinet Secretary for the Youth Affairs, Sports and the Arts by Senator Samson Cherargei, MP, on Team Kenya's participation in the World Athletics Championship in Budapest. And finally, question number 54 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration by Senator Mohammed Said Tute, MP, on the counter-terrorism efforts put in place by the government. Honorable Senators, as earlier indicated by my office, together with that of the Senate leadership in general, will continue to work with the executive to ensure that questions are responded to when scheduled. The concerns of honorable senators on this matter are appreciated, and I encourage honorable senators to use this tool to bring the executive to account. Mr. Speaker, sir. Finally, as honorable senators may be aware, October 10th is a national holiday. The Senate Business Committee has therefore not scheduled any business for that day. Regular sittings will resume, therefore, on Wednesday, October 11th, 2023, and I take this opportunity to wish all of you a fruitful visit to your counties and a happy Huduma Day. Mr. Speaker, sir, I hereby lay the statement on the table, and I thank you.
Next order, clerk. I can see from my dashboard that Senator Mundigi, what is your intervention?
Bwana Spika, naomba hoja ifuatayo katika kipengele 37(1). Bwana Spika, naomba hoja ifuatayo ya kwamba kikao cha Seneti kiahirishwe kwa mujibu wa kanuni za kudumu za Seneti kipengele cha 37(1) ili kujadili swala mahususi la dharura na muhimu kwa taifa kuhusu ukosefu wa usalama katika nchi yetu, hasa mji wa Sondu na katika kaunti ya Turkana. Bwana Spika.
Now, honorable senators, pursuant to Standing Order 37(5), indeed, the requisite threshold has been met, and therefore I do direct that this motion be moved at 5:30 p.m. today. Next order, clerk.
Order number 8, the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, National Assembly Bills number 23 of 2023, second reading.
Now, what is the point of order, Senator Eddy? And just to caution you, a senator can only rise on a point of order if another senator is.
Clarification then.
Proceed to seek a clarification.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to seek your indulgence that given that the adjournment motion that has just been moved by my brother, Senator Mundigi, consolidates two important issues. Initially, I'd put forward adjournment motion for Sondu, security issues in Sondu, and he had put one for Turkana. Would it be in order to plead that perhaps the adjournment starts at 5 p.m. so that we just get 30 more minutes to be able to vent on the two issues more in depth. And seeing that all senators were standing up, it seems that people would want to contribute on these motions. Just a humble request to you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Eddy, if you look at the order paper of the day, it's pretty heavy. However, I'm aware that we have 7 bills that have moved to the level of the Committee of the Whole. And looking around, I do not see the requisite quorum to prosecute those bills at the committee of the whole. I'm therefore persuaded to accede to the request by Senator Eddy that the House, instead of adjourning at 5:30, it adjourns at 5 to allow the motion be moved. Now, before interruption of debate, yesterday, Senator Wambua had the floor and had a balance of 11 minutes. So kindly proceed, Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, indeed, it is true that yesterday I was contributing to the additional allocations bill before time lapsed, so I have those 10 or 11 minutes. As Speaker, I want to continue my contribution in support of the bill. But as I said yesterday, the Speaker, there is need for a cleanup of this bill. As I mentioned, the Speaker, and I want to emphasize that we must get to a point as a House and draw the line in the sand. Speaker, we cannot have these 5 counties that continue to receive allocations for the construction of county headquarters since 2013. Now, 10 years down the line, we are still allocating money for the construction of the same county headquarters in Isiolo, in Lamu, in Nyandarua, in Tharaka-Nithi, and in Tana River. As Speaker, cumulatively, there is a lot of money that has been set aside for that, totaling to 454 million Kenya shillings. That matter, as Speaker, needs to be looked into so that in the next year, when we are dealing with the additional allocations bill, then we don't see that item listed there. Speaker, the other matter that I am very, very concerned about is the matter of all that is found in the first schedule, is a matter of the allocations for the listing of medical equipment. Mr. Speaker, I mentioned at the tail end of my contribution yesterday that perhaps, Mr. Speaker, a time has come that either the Committee of Health, on its own motion, decides to do a proper audit of this leasing program, or then it will be necessary to set up another special committee. Because when you look at that table, there's an allocation of 124,723,404 cents to every county. It's an equal allocation to every county for servicing of the leased medical equipment. As Speaker, it is clear, and all of us know because we come from counties, that first of all, not all counties receive the same equipment, so they cannot be paying the same amount of money for different equipment. Secondly, the Speaker, there are counties today that, yes, they have those equipment, but they cannot utilize them because there is no connection to power, there is no connection to water, and there is also a case where that equipment is still lying in the source market where the manufacturers are. So, Speaker, the Health Committee, on its own motion, I should look into that matter. If they cannot, for whatever reason, then this House needs to form a special committee to look into that matter. The Speaker, my last contribution will be on the the fourth schedule. No, the second schedule, Mr. Speaker. This second schedule, Mr. Speaker, on allocations for court fines and mineral royalties. It's a bit confusing to me. Because there are a number of counties there, and I want to mention Bomet, Bugoma, Busia, and Egel Marakwet, that they have no conditional allocations either for court fines or for mineral royalties. A clear reading of that then would indicate that there are no courts in those areas, and there are no minerals, or the courts never collect any fines in those areas. So, Mr. Speaker, this schedule is a bit confusing. There will be need for a relook at that. Speaker.
What is your point of, Senator Wambua? Would you wish to be informed by Senator Chimera?
He can. He's a young man. He can inform me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to inform Senator Wambua that the reason why we have courts in these counties does not mean the citizens of that county actually have to go to court. It could be a law-abiding citizens in those counties. That's why you have counties that don't have allocations from court fines. Like even Kwale, we are law-abiding citizens in Kwale, so we don't even have to benefit from anything from the court fines, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Wambua, proceed.
Let me proceed,
If you
Mr.
find
Speaker.
that information useful.
It clearly is not very useful, but but it is information anyway. So, Mr. Speaker, there will be need to relook at that schedule. You go to a county like Kiambu, and the senator of Kiambu is not here. They have an allocation for court fines of 5 million and allocation for mineral royalties of 10 million. Now, you go to places where we thought there's serious mining taking place there, and you find that there are no allocations. Like in Nyamira, I thought Nyamira was actually the home of soapstone, but there is no allocation at all on the matter of mineral royalties. So, the Speaker, the whole of the second schedule, I do propose that is relooked. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, is on the matter of the wording of the bill. Mr. Speaker, I mentioned yesterday, and I want to emphasize that to the extent that we continue to hold the view that the national government can allocate funds to county governments, to that extent, Mr. Speaker, then we may never be able to really talk about a separation of roles and functions between the national government and the county governments. As Speaker, I take a great exception to any reference made in this bill on national government revenue being allocated to county governments, because then the real situation, the Speaker, would be if national government revenues are being allocated to county governments, then we are talking about transfer of services. We are saying that this is a function that is supposed to be done by the national government. This is the amount of money that has been allocated to it in the budget. Then that function and the funds can be reallocated to the county governments. But if the reference is to money from the treasury going to the county governments and the national government, then that distinction, Mr. Speaker, must be made very, very clear. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, even as I support the allocations bill, I would want also to remind ourselves, Mr. Speaker, that very soon we should have a serious engagement on that separation of roles between the Ministry of Finance and the Treasury, so that the Treasury performs the functions of allocating revenue to both levels of government. The Speaker, with those remarks and those proposed amendments, I support.
Senator Chimera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this very important bill, being the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill 2023. Mr. Speaker, I must say it is a beautiful moment to be alive today and to be in the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the wording and the drafting of this bill, this is indeed music to the ears of many counties. From this bill, Mr. Speaker, our governors all over the country have no reason whatsoever not to complete their projects, Mr. Speaker, and not to pay the many young men and women who form the bulk of many suppliers and contractors in our counties. And as such, Mr. Speaker, I dare say that I support this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, allow me to briefly speak to Section 8 of the said bill, Mr. Speaker. For the first time, Mr. Speaker, we have a bill that speaks on the need of reporting and ensuring that our county governments comply with the reporting needs. Mr. Speaker, I sat here yesterday and listened to my colleague, Senator Aaron Cheriot, and he spoke so ably on the need as to why governors should actually be able to report on all they receive as allocations vis-a-vis the county expenditure, Mr. Speaker. This has never happened for so long, Mr. Speaker. And Senator Aaron was very clear and actually told us that indeed governors are more concerned on reporting the recurrent expenditure and not reporting on the development expenditure, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, as a Senate, I really look forward towards the day we'll be able to interact with the control of budget to tell us indeed how the reporting is done. And the bill is very clear from Section 8, Mr. Speaker, that counties have been given an idea to actually report to us their actual expenditure against the actual allocation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, counties like Kwale, from the fourth schedule and the second schedule, Mr. Speaker, of this bill, I can see that my county has been given about 100 million shillings to engage in many fisheries projects, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the county of Lamu, the county of Mombasa, the county of Kwale, to a large extent, are known fishing counties, Mr. Speaker. We have very many fishermen all the way from Ngombeni to Vanga, to Shimoni, and to Msambweni in Kisite. And these fishermen for so long have been engaging in what I call traditional fishing methods. Mr. Speaker, now we have funds going to our counties to ensure that the fisherman from Kwale County, after these funds are received by the county government, is able to engage in modern fishing. And these funds, I am happy to see that they'll actually go towards ensuring that we acquire modern fishing gear so that our fishermen can engage in meaningful fishing, so that we are able to realize the true potential of what we call the blue economy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also notice the fourth schedule rather, gives allocations to counties on the royalties fund, Mr. Speaker. Again, I see Kwale County has been given about 1.1 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, to be able to roll out projects from that particular account, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you notice that as a county, we've had this company called Base Titanium mining and minerals in Kwale for far too long. But there was no legal framework, there was no law establishing the royalties fund. And I'm happy to see that PS for mining, who is, by the way, my former Governor Emeritus Salim Mvurya, has moved with speed to make sure that this law is in place and that counties, not Kwale alone, but counties which are actively involved in mining have a share to this fund, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, the people of Mavumbu Ward in Kwale have proposed the upgrade of the Mariakani, Madhirivirini, Mavumbu Road, Mr. Speaker, to bitumen standards. For the first time since independence, they've never seen tarmac in Kwale, Mr. Speaker. And I'm happy that these funds are going there to enable the governor and the people that are in charge of these funds in these counties to roll out projects that are truly impactful to the local wananchi, Mr. Speaker. And for the first time, we are seeing that truly devolution is alive, and that with such bills, Mr. Speaker, we're able to breathe more life to our project, Mr. Speaker. I just want to urge the government, Mr. Speaker, to ensure there is effective and prudential use of this one, Mr. Speaker. So that as a Senate here, we just don't sit here in vain by passing resources, allocating the same resources to them, and then they end up squandering the same funds and pilfering this one, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I wish to support this particular bill, and I am in true support of the same. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Murango.
Asante sana mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, nilikuwa naangalia hili jarida hapa na nikaona ya kwamba Kirinyaga iko pia na shilingi 100. Shilingi 100. Sio bilioni bwana. Shilingi 100 ambayo imepe.
Stop engaging your colleagues. Just proceed to make your contribution.
Na sasa Spika, ndio nilikuwa ningependa kupendekeza, kwa sababu kuna wale ambao wanaratibu mgao ambao unapewa kaunti kwa sababu ya madini ama kwa sababu ya zile bidhaa zinatokana na mahali pale. Pia tunaweza kujua kama ni hii shilingi 100 imepewa Kirinyaga imetokana na madini gani, kwa sababu wakati mwingine shilingi 100, hata jarida nililo nalo hapa ni gari kushinda shilingi 100. Haina haja ya kuratibu shilingi 100 za kupatia kaunti nzima, kwa sababu mimi naamini ya kwamba kuna hesabu ambayo mpaka iangaliwe kama iko sawa. Mimi mwenyewe kama mkazi wa Kirinyaga najua kwamba eneo chini la Mwea ni eneo muhimu sana sana katika uchimbaji wa maram na malighafi mengi ya kutengeneza barabara. Na kwa hivyo kupata shilingi 100 pia ingekuwa ni mshtuko kidogo. Nikimalizia, mstahiki Spika, pia wakati mgao unafanywa pia tungeomba kama watu wa Kenya, kwa sababu mimi naunga mkono wakati mambo kama haya yanaletwa katika bunge ya Seneti. Lakini wakati pia tunafika kugawana pesa kama ni zile za maktaba, kila wakati utapata kama Kirinyaga hatugawiwi kwa sababu hatuna maktaba. Kwa hivyo nikiulizia naambiwa pesa zinagawanywa kwa wale ambao wako na maktaba, lakini sisi hatuna maktaba, hatupewi. Lakini tukienda kugawa pesa ya zile kaunti zingine zimeachwa nyuma, zinapewa wale ambao hawana vitu ambazo tuko navyo. Kwa hivyo lazima tuchukue msingi mmoja, kama ni watu hawana wapewe, na kama ni watu wako nayo pia wapewe, kwa sababu unaona katika mambo ya maabara kidogo Kirinyaga tunabaguliwa, kwa sababu mpaka sahi sisi ndio county zile among zile 23 ambazo hawana maabara, na kwa hivyo hiyo nitaenda kuangalia. Asante sana mstahiki Speaker.
Senator Mundigi.
Bwana Spika, naunga mkono kwa zile pesa inapeanwa, lakini kuna shinda katika hii allocation ya mineral. Embu County impatiwa shilingi 2142. Saa ingine wale ile mambo inafanywa na watu unashindwa huwa anaangalia kitu gani, kwa sababu kupatia county ya Embu kwa sababu ya mineral ati shilingi 2000 ni kitu ni kama kutukana county ya Embu. Na saa hiyo tunajua stima inatoka Embu County na inaenda pale ingine, na unakuta ile pesa tunaweza kupatiwa njia ya stima ni pesa kidogo sana. Ni sawa tumepatiwa milioni 100 ile tumeongezewa, lakini pia ni vizuri, lakini mpaka wale watu wako kwa hii mambo ya kupatia county pesa wakiangalia pia UN itakuwa kati ile mwingine itakuwa ni kura moja wa shilingi 1, kwa sababu tumeona county nyingi kwa pesa sote kama Embu County itakuwa sasa iko na shilingi bilioni 6, na ile mahitaji tuko nayo ya kufanya kazi, mambo ya elimu, mambo ya agriculture, mambo ya kilimo, mambo ya afya, mambo mingi, hii pesa haitoshi. Na unaona county zingine imepatiwa bilioni 15, 16, lakini wakati umetembea pale itakuwa ni shinda, ni kama pesa imeporwa kwa kipindi ya miaka 10. Watu wengine wako na 200 billion na hakuna kitu wamefanya. Kwa hiyo naomba wakati ule mwingine itakuwa mimi nitaunga mkono, itakuwa ni one man one shillings. Asante Bwana Spika.
Now, honorable senators, there being no other senator wishing to contribute, I will call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, with your indulgence, please allow me before I respond on behalf of the people of Kakamega, Ireho village, to thank His Excellency the President. He has now made history for our community by appointing Fred Matuanga as Kenya's High Commissioner in Italy. We shall pray for the President on Sunday because he's picking the High Commission of Kenya to go to Italy, a place where Catholics, when they came to Western, they settled in a place called Mukumu in 1905. We are very grateful and we really feel like we are true shareholders in this government. Mr. Speaker, sir, coming back to the substance on the floor of the House, honorable members have been united, Mr. Speaker, in one thing. They have, Mr. Speaker, supported this motion. Mr. Speaker, just allow me to switch off the phone. I forgot to switch it off. Thank you.
Senator
Mr. Speaker.
Okay, proceed. Is your phone off?
Yes, I've
The
switched
first
it off.
thing is not to come with it to the plenary. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided. Mr. Speaker, sir, all the senators who contributed have agreed on one thing, that this is a very important bill. But because of who the Speaker is today, allow me to remind members that this is a bill which is coming at a time when our Right Honorable Speaker is regretting that he's no longer the governor. Because when they were governors, this bill was never passed in this House in this manner, and therefore this kind of money was never available in his office for him to cause development for his people. So I once again want to thank the President for not only releasing all the money owed to county governments, and also releasing money timelessly before the 15th of every month, but also allowing us as the leadership of this House to lead this House in unlocking a whopping 53 billion shillings to go to our counties. With maximum respect, it is now time for us to enjoy benefit of on-site members. You remember when we were at each other's throats because of the shareable revenue when we passed 385. Now, whereas governors wanted 425, add what we have brought, the money has now ballooned to 400. Go to Mudare, go to Kawangware, go to name it, the people there are living. The poverty index is good for Nairobi, but when you look at how people live in these other areas in Nairobi, you realize that Nairobi actually deserves slightly more money than what we have been giving it hitherto. The second comment which I want to clarify, as raised by Senator Wambua even today, is on the issue of the specialized medical equipment. Honorable members, the reason why county governments are paying the national government devolved funds, it is because the procurement of this special medical equipment was done by the national government wrongly at that time in 2015. Ideally, procurement should have been done by county governments so that this money, which is conditional money from the World Bank, meant to go and address the issue of health, could then be given to governors the way we are doing, and then they pay. But because it is the national government which procured, that is how the money is finding its way back to the national government. The third issue which arose is the issue of fertilizer. Colleagues, let us be analyzing these bills. If you look at this column, the people at the National Treasury don't seem to be working at all, because in giving out money, for example, for fertilizer subsidy, they have given Nairobi for fertilizer 14.7 million shillings. Where do you want to spend 14.7 million on fertilizer in Nairobi? Why not take that money to Kirinyaga? Why not take that money to Embu, even if you don't like Kakamega? Why not take it to Bungoma? You take the money to Nairobi for fertilizer? Really? People at the treasury? We have to face these guys in the eye and tell them, if they don't know, we are going to move on the floor of this house so that they are sacked. We put there young people from the University of Nairobi who can analyze, and other universities who can analyze figures and put money where it is merited. The fourth point was on the issue of court refunds. If you look at that column on court refunds, you will realize that there's an anomaly. And for you to understand, the money that is going back for courts is because that money does not go to the consolidated fund. And because it doesn't go to the consolidated fund, the little fines they do in your place, then for breach of the bylaws, then that money is supposed to be taken back. So a place like Mombasa, where a lot of money is seen to be going, it is because they have a lot of those kind of active court processes, and therefore they have a higher figure entitlement. The fifth point, which was raised and again raised by Senator Wambua, is the issue of county headquarters. Members, we who sit in the finance committee, we are properly seized of this matter. The reason why there has been this very long delay, it is because of the implementation process. The implementation of county headquarters was such that 1 year, they would say the money will be released to the governor. When the governor wants to do it, they refuse. They say, no, the implementation must be by the ministry and so on. So the throwback has resulted in this delay, and we must thank the first Senate, which in 2015 identified these deserving cases. Finally, but not least, the issue of royalties. This is theft. How would you give Vihiga 0? How? How can you sit and decide that Kirinyaga should be given 100 shillings. The fact that you are giving them 100 shillings, it means that you are admitting that there is mining taking place there. And if mining is taking place there, enough for you to notice it, then surely their royalty of 20% cannot be 100 bob. This is careless, open stealing of public funds. Let me, Mr. Speaker, give you the example of Kakamega. And this is fact. I come from the gold mining constituency of Shinyalu, Ikolomani, and Lurambi. Every week, Mr. Speaker, we mine and sell 10 kilograms of gold every Friday. And you compute this at the cost at which we sell gold worth 72 million shillings every Friday, Mr. Speaker. And with this, if you multiply it, just simple arithmetic, we sell, Mr. Speaker, in a year, 777.6 million shillings worth of gold. And when they calculate, Mr. Speaker, they tell us that our 20% is that, sorry, I got you wrong. We sell 72 million shillings of gold every Friday, which translates, Mr. Speaker, to 3.68 billion shillings per year. 3.68 billion shillings per year. And 20% of that money is 777.6 million, which they should have paid us. And Mr. Speaker, you know what they paid us? Here, from this treasury here. They paid us 16,554. This applies to Siaya, where they do gold in game. This applies to Migori, where they do gold in Nyatige. And it applies even in your home, Mr. Speaker, in Kilifi, in Kwale. So people in treasury are just sitting, sharing money meant for royalties. I know of certain people who are in positions of leadership in this country, and please, I beg you, don't ask me to substantiate. You go in the areas where they are leading, there are so many projects they are doing beyond shareable revenue. Because these people used to work high up in government, they know how this money is loaded. So they go to National Treasury, they tell them, add me here, and they're doing projects. And they look like they are real performers when it is theft of money from Ikolomani, from Shinyalu, from Lurambi, from Vihiga, from Nyatige, Mr. Speaker, from Gem in Siaya. This house being a house of equity, this is the speech. We must stop that stealing so that this money can reach our people.
Raise a
Mr.
point of
Speaker,
order, Senator A.
Nyatige.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I'm raising another point of order, number 105. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of statement of facts. Mr. Speaker, the senator for Kakamega has raised a very important issue. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was actually with 6 senators from this house in Migori County, a place he has just quoted called Nyatike, where in Osiri Matanda alone, we are selling gold worth 33 million every day. And Mr. Speaker, the senator of Kakamega has claimed that there are people in the treasury who are eating associated royalties that are supposed to go to these communities. And then he goes ahead to tell this house, Mr. Speaker, that we cannot force him or ask him or even request him, Mr. Speaker, to substantiate this, Mr. Speaker. People who have taken millions of money from Mr. Speaker, from poor communities, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the majority whip even into us who these people are? In fact, Mr. Speaker, if it was possible, I would request that you direct him, Mr. Speaker, that perhaps it tables the names of these people in this house, Mr. Speaker. We must discuss these people. My people in Migori are suffering, and they don't get value of what they have been mining, Mr. Speaker. I'm surprised that the bullfighter can start cowing to these cartels, to people who are stealing from the poor, Mr. Speaker. He must be bold enough, and I want to wish him the courage. These are not putting you on the spot, leader. I'm wishing you the courage. Name these people. Let us know them in this country, and let us deal with them. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni, you are obligated under standing orders. That is not a request from Senator Eddy. It is an obligation under our own standing orders that if you allege certain facts, you should be in a position to substantiate. In the event that you're unable to substantiate now, you may seek time within which to substantiate. If that option is not available to you, that even if you're given more time, you'll not be able to substantiate, then you may have to move to withdraw those allegations. What say you, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm properly guided, but the way I read the standing orders is that that pressure arises, Mr. Speaker, if you mention somebody adversely, that or mention the name of somebody who cannot defend himself on the floor of the House.
Senator Boni,
Yes.
let us not teach ourselves these standing orders. We know them. You have given certain facts which have not been substantiated. You have alleged that at the Treasury, this kind of thing happens, and it is happening with the aid of certain leaders. In fact, you said very senior leaders in this country. So kindly proceed to name these people. If you're unable to do that, kindly proceed to retract that statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have a history. I have a history in this country. I have dealt with those mandarins at Treasury. In fact, the country sometimes remembers me for the work I have done in that Treasury. Mr. Speaker, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that somebody can sit and award a county 100 shillings. Even if this House wanted me to tell them, that should make you angry enough. Mr. Speaker,
Allow
Speaker,
the senator to
I'm
make his, but ultimately, Senator Boni, ultimately, you'll have to do two things: substantiate or withdraw. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, my mind is pushing me to speak. But I am a responsible state officer. A state officer who understands the principle of collective responsibility. Let me tell you, I would look the most stupid state officer to fail to use the other channels open to me, Mr. Speaker, to pursue this matter, and instead then make pronouncements here as if I don't. So for that reason, Mr.
Honorable Boni, Honorable Senator, Honorable Senator, in that case then, kindly proceed to withdraw and use the other channels to pursue this matter.
Mr. Speaker, I am properly guided. My younger brother, in fact, my kid brother, Moses Kajwang, who I campaigned for in Kindu Bay, in Homa Bay, in Diwa, when your brother, who was almost my age mate, who used to sit there, had died. You would love for me to draw blood. I withdraw, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will be ripe And the lawyers have got something called an issue being ripe. When the time will be ripe, I will walk, I will dance, and I will sing with these names until corruption comes to an end in this house. And I have had the privilege of leading some of the offices where I've had the opportunity to partake of proceeds of corruption. But I've refused. I've seen people who have been in that office for 6 months end up buying property in Karen and living there. I've refused. I still live in my home, Horo. Mr. Speaker, I withdraw for now. And Mr. Speaker, having withdrawn,
I think the honorable senator has withdrawn that statement. Allow him to
Mr.
conclude.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I want to apologize
What
for
is
the
your
way
point of order, Senator Kajwang?
Mr. Speaker, from the foregoing deliberations, will I be in order to describe the bullfighter of Kakamega as a coward of Kakamega?
Senator Kajwang, you're totally out of order. First, under standing orders, you should refer to your colleagues as honorable senators. As far as the House is concerned, we don't have bullfighters, we don't have fighters at all. So I overrule your point of order. Kindly, Senator Boni, proceed to conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sometimes in this House, it helps to have interventions like the one from Moses Kajwang, Senator. Of course, he doesn't mean that I'm a coward. He's just using it to cajole me to ensure that I come out and say these things. So Kajwang, thanks for the compliment. We'll be doing our fish at Kendu Bay the usual way. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I respond and request, with your permission, sir, at the proper time, at a later time, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Very well. I shall postpone the putting of the question on that particular motion to a date later in the course of next week. Next order, clerk.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole, the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023.
That statement is deferred. Next.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole, the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2023.
That statement is deferred. Next.
Order number 11, Committee of the Whole, the County Licensing Uniform Procedure Bill, Senate Bills number 9 of 2022.
The order is deferred. Next.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole, the Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2022.
The statement is deferred. Next order.
Order number 13, Committee of the Whole, the Mung Beans Bill, Senate Bills number 13 of 2022.
That statement, that order is deferred. Next order, please.
Order number 14, Committee of the Whole, the Startup Bill, Senate Bills number 14 of 2022.
That order is also deferred. Next order.
Order number 15, Committee of the Whole, the Persons with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2023.
That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 16, the County Boundaries Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2023, second reading.
The Honorable Senator Moses Kajwang. Absolutely, absolutely. That order is deferred. Next order. Now, honorable senators, at this point, I'd wish to reorganize the sequence of today's order paper. And instead of prosecuting order number 17, we proceed to handle order 19. Thereafter, we will resume the usual sequence of today's order paper. So clerk, kindly proceed to call the order paper as amended. Do we have any member of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations? Call the order, clerk.
Order number 19, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret.
Honorable Senator Nyonka.
Mr. Speaker, I hope you will accept my apologies because I had in the SIPA committee since 8 o'clock and I hadn't even had a glass of water. Mr. Speaker, by a letter dated 29th May 2023, the clerk of the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu transmitted a resolution of the County Assembly via the Joint Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Housing and Urban Development to adopt the report of the ad hoc committee on the conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret dated 23rd May 2023 without any amendments. Mr. Speaker, you then subsequently issued a communication on the same, referred the matter to the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations for consideration. Mr. Speaker, for some who may not know, the municipality of Eldoret has been in existence since 1953 and is definitely due for an upgrade. In consideration of the application for the conferment of city status of Eldoret municipality, the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations engaged with various stakeholders in this very important issue. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the spirit of public participation and noting the importance of verifying that Eldoret municipality had met the criteria as prescribed by Section 5 and the first schedule of the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011, the committee held a county visit from 23rd August to the 25th of August 2023 and specifically met with the following stakeholders at the governor's chambers. Mr. Speaker, the people that were met were the governor of the Uasin Gishu County, the ad hoc committee, that considered the recommendations, the County Assembly's Joint Committee on Lands and Physical Planning, and Committee of Housing and Urban Development to deliberate on their joint report. The other team that was met was the management and the manager of the municipality of Eldoret. And finally, Mr. Speaker, this committee met the chairperson of the board of municipality of Eldoret town. Further, Mr. Speaker, the committee took a guided tour around the municipality of Eldoret to inspect the various amenities and services provided, and later had engagement with the residents of Eldoret regarding the conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret during a public participation held at the Eldoret Multipurpose Social Hall. Mr. Speaker, Section 5 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011 outlines the criteria that ought to be met by a municipality to qualify to be upgraded to the city status. The municipality should demonstrate that, 1, it has a population of at least 250,000 residents according to the final gazetted results of the last population census carried out by an institution authorized under any written law preceding the application for grant of city status. 2, Mr. Speaker, we found out that Eldoret had an integrated urban area of city development plan in accordance with this act and other existing laws. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, it was demonstrated that there was capacity to generate sufficient revenue to sustain its operations. Number 4, we were able to find that the town of Eldoret had a good system and records of prudent management of itself. Number 5, the town of Eldoret has a capacity to efficiently deliver its services to its residents and has in existence the services provided in the first schedule. Number 6, we realized that the town of Eldoret has institutionalized active participation by its residents in the management of its affairs. Mr. Speaker, number 8, the town of Eldoret has infrastructural facilities including but not limited to roads, street lighting, markets, fire stations, and an adequate capacity for disaster management. And finally, Mr. Speaker, what we found out is that this town has a capacity for functional and an effective waste disposal system. The first schedule of the same act further elucidates a list of services that the municipality should be able to provide and services that are required to which are already being provided by the national government. Mr. Speaker, the committee did an in-depth analysis of the stakeholder submissions. Based on its deliberations, the committee has made various observations and recommendations, which are set out at Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 of the report. The committee was also satisfied with the inspection it carried out throughout the town. In summary, the committee strongly recommends the conferment of city status to the Eldoret municipality. Mr. Speaker, sir, may I take this opportunity to commend the members of the committee for their devotion and commitment to duty, which made the consideration of the application for conferment of city status to the municipality of Eldoret. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to thank the officers of the Speaker and the Clerk of the Senate for the support and extended to the committee, the support extended to our committee in undertaking this important assignment. Lastly, I would wish to thank the stakeholders who appeared before the committee and presented their submissions regarding the conferment of the city status of the municipality of Eldoret. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to commend and congratulate the sitting governor of of Uasin Gishu County for having made it possible and having encouraged us to go to every part of that town. And I can confirm this, Speaker, because I was in that delegation. We were satisfied with the plans and the arrangements on what they want to do to upgrade the city. It is now my pleasure and duty, pursuant to Standing Order 2284A, to present the report of the Standing Committee of Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on its consideration of the application of conferment of the city status of the municipality of Eldoret. I would like to persuade to second that position of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gives a framework for the classification of urban areas and cities. Mr. Speaker, sir, the classification of urban areas include the cities as proposed by the proposed Eldoret city, their municipalities, their towns, and their markets within the Urban Areas and Cities Act. And Mr. Speaker, sir, this framework also establishes a governance system, a governance and management system for these urban areas, that these urban areas will have boards, the municipalities will have boards, the towns will have boards, and the markets will have committees as stipulated in the urban areas and cities. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is meant that the cities or the urban areas would be managed efficiently and effectively. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Urban Areas and Cities Act also spells out a framework for the participation by the residents